Hey everybody, this is Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com. We're talking more about getting it right at the source, and here's kind of the big question that might be in your heads, especially after watching all the previous videos. How do you know when you've gotten it right at the source? Specifically, how do I know when I can send the musician home and I've got what I need to move on to editing and mixing? Well, we've talked about how we don't say we're going to fix it in the mix, okay? If the tone of the recording, the sound of the recording isn't quite there, then you're not done until you're happy with that sound, okay? It's a good rule of thumb. But what about timing? What if the drummer played a few beats that were off time, out of time? Is that worth going back and punching in those beats? Is it worth having him do an entirely new take? Or what if the bass player came in on the downbeats a few times early? Is that something we have to re-punch in or re-record? And the answer for me would be it depends. But I will say, while I don't want to fix things in the mix, I'm okay with doing some repair work in editing, okay? If you've checked out my Understanding Editing tutorial series, I explain kind of how I do editing, or what's sometimes called pocketing, where you're taking a performance, a good performance, that's the key, a good performance, and you're just tightening up some of the spots where maybe he played a little early or came in a little bit late, okay? For me, as a guitar player, when I'm playing and coming into a chorus, and there's that couple of bars before that are kind of a build-up to the chorus, usually I end up speeding that up a little bit. The part sounds good, and the tone and everything's great, and the energy's really good, but it's a little out of time. Now, I could go back, and I think I should become a better musician and get better at playing in time, but if everything else about that performance is wonderful and there's just a couple spots that do that, I am okay with going in and editing and just moving it back just a little bit, getting it back locked in time, okay? So to really know what's possible in editing, you need to spend some time doing editing, okay? Once you've done that for a while, then you'll know, oh, hey, the bass player came in a little bit late. That's an easy fix. I can do that just like that. It'll take me about 8 seconds. That's not worth going back and re-recording the whole take for that. And if you have maybe a take that has maybe a dozen or so of those moments, that, to me, that's okay. If you got a good emotional performance, the tone is great, the energy is great, the feel is great, if the timing is a little bit off, that's okay. For one thing, you might not even hear the timing issues in the big full mix, and secondly, you can always go in with editing and do some quick fixes there. Okay? So I'm not a big fan of fixing it in the mix. I am okay with fixing a good performance in editing. You do not want a sloppy performance. Editing cannot rescue a drummer who just simply cannot play in time, okay? But a good performance with a few mistakes, editing can polish that up and make it sound wonderful. So that's the answer to the more complicated question, how do I know when I'm done? When you know that everything you have recorded can be easily tweaked if there are any timing issues, and then everything else can go straight to the mix and it sounds awesome right out of the gate. That's how you know, and that's one of the big keys to a great sounding mix.